Hey guys, it's Ben Johnson with Fidelity Building Protection here, and you found our video hopefully because that means that you're one of our customers and you're looking for some quick insight on how to operate your new ProDataKey system. So what you're looking at here, and I've got it shrunk down because as an integrator there's tons of accounts on here, but I only want to look at mine. But if you were to log into ProDataKey either through the mobile app, which is the pdk.io app, or just opening any web browser, going to pdk.io. Once you get logged in, you're going to get to a screen that looks similar to this, and all of your cloud nodes will be listed here. If you happen to have a more than one building, then they'll just be listed either horizontally here or stacked. And each one should be named for your building or for whatever descriptor we decided. Right below that is going to be your permissions. These are people who have access to your system. There's different access roles. We can discuss that on a one-to-one basis because the access roles really are going to be something that we want to determine on a site-specific and person-specific role. But let's go back to getting into our cloud node and doing some programming. So we're going to go ahead and click on the cloud node we want to access. In this case, it's going to be my office, and there we go. And now I'm going to blow this back up full screen. And so once you log in, you're going to see this exact same screen, except that you want to see a configuration tab because that is an integrator-only feature. Every other thing on here, people, groups, system events, auto-open, elevators, reports, partitions, door states, live events, those are all things you can see all the time. It's very simple to add a new person or to create a group for people. And those are the only two things you need to worry about when you are adding a person for access control. I'll make some other videos to go over some of the other features here. So we're just going to go ahead and create a people. And so we'll make an individual person here. And I made John Smith earlier on the first test video I did. So I'm going to delete Mr. Smith and now we'll recreate him. So there's four people here. A couple of technicians, my office manager, and myself. And so I'm going to add a new person. And so here we go back to adding Mr. Smith. So there's John. Last name is Smith. One thing about PDK or ProDataKey, however you want to call it, is that you can't have more than one John Smith. You could have a John A. Smith and a John Smith, or a John A. Smith and a John B. Smith, or anything like that. But you can't have two identical names. And that's just because it's a safety feature to make sure that we don't actually accidentally confuse which person we're trying to make a change to. So you noticed I hit the little yellow plus button down here on the bottom of the screen, and that popped up this window. That little plus button is the same all through the system, whether it's the mobile app or the web browser. That is how you add anything that you want to add on whatever screen you're on. I'll go ahead and, now that we have this name typed in, we'll hit the add button. You see here where it says import, there's actually an option if you need to bring in a lot of people to do it with a CSV file. It's a bit of an art form. Once you do it, though, it's very, very fast. If you need to import a lot of people, please just give me a call or shoot me an email. I'll help you with it. I'll help you get the spreadsheet formatted the right way, and we'll bring them in, and we'll make it real nice and smooth and have everybody in there all clean the first time. Because the downside to doing a mass import is if you do it wrong, you can't do a mass export. You can't do a mass delete. That means if you bring in 300 people and you bring them in wrong, you're going to have to go through and individually delete 300 people. And I'll show you how that would look like in just a moment here. So let's finish this by hitting add. So now you're going to see Mr. Smith pop up here with all his credentials. You see where it says add photo. Now I'm on my PC, so if I want to add his photo, I click that. Now you could go to any folder that was attached to this computer, and I could open a photo up and bring it in here. So if I've taken a photo of Mr. Smith, saved it on my computer, I can bring it in this way. The great thing is, if I'm open on the mobile app, I can actually click this, it will open up my camera, I can snap a photo of Mr. Smith right there, save it in here, and that'll be his profile photo. You do not have to create a photo for people, but it's kind of a cool feature. It's kind of a nice just little thing to have, so you have a face to go with the name sometimes. Now you see here we have an active date and expire date. Most of the time we don't care about that. If we leave those blank, then the card is active as soon as you create it, and it doesn't expire until whenever you turn it off. Where you might use it is if you have a new hire and they're going to start next week, but you want to create the card today to get out of the way. So today is May the 8th, so next Monday would be May the 11th. So let's say they're going to start on Monday. I could just click active date. I can either click the down button here and open up a calendar, or if I just clicked right here, it gives me a text field and I could type it in. I would just go down to the 11th, click it, and now I have an active date. I don't actually really want to create an active date, but that's okay because I'm going to delete this person here as soon as we're done. Same with an expire date. Expire dates are great for contractors. So if you've got an electrician, he's going to be coming in every single day working on your building. You know what? Just give him a card. That way he can get through the doors he needs to do. He can get his work done. But you know that at the end of the month on May the 30th, he's leaving. So we can just go ahead and go in here and you create an expire date. Same way you created the active date. And I guess it'd be May the 31st because I don't know how many days are in a month, but that's all right. So there we go. So now this card is only active from Monday of next week until May the 31st. Here it says enabled account. Enabled account means this card or cards or whatever credentials we give him are good. Disabled means that they're no longer good. You want to do disabled if somebody leaves or you take their credentials away or whatever you do. And the reason is if I delete a person out of the system, then they're gone. And so I no longer have a record. If they come and swipe on a door, I don't have a record of that. If I disable them, they're still in my system. They have no access rights, but I get a record every time they try to use that card to access the building or access the door that they shouldn't be using. It's really a great feature. Unless you've collected their fob or their card from them and you know they have it in your possession, I always recommend you just disable instead of delete, just in case something comes up down the future and down the road in the future. Now you have a log of them trying to use their card wherever it was they weren't supposed to be using it. So we'll leave this person enabled. We're going to need to create an email address here so that we can give him a mobile credential as well for his phone. I'll talk about that in just a second. We're just going to give Mr. Smith my address. There we go. And then there's a couple other things, a PIN and a duress PIN. If you have keypads, in addition to card readers, then we would set up a PIN and a duress PIN for you. Usually that's not something that we do. That is a nice dual factor authentication method, but it's usually not necessary. If you have a keypad reader, we'll do a separate video for you of how to set these pins up so that they're correct and how to set up a duress pin and what we can do with that. So now we have the name, first and last, when it's active, when it's expired. And again, we don't have to have active or expired date, but at least we have them here for right now to show you. We need to add a credential. So on the back of that card or the back of that fob that you have is a 4 or a 5-digit number. We're just going to go ahead and type that number in. Whatever it is on the back of that card, we'll put it in here. We're just going to make up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for this guy. Description is not necessary, but you can put one in there if you like for any reason. And I'm going to hit add. Mr. Smith now has card 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 assigned to him. In addition, we can also send a credential to his mobile phone. Now that's why I had to put in the email address earlier, because the credential is going to be emailed to him and he needs to open that email on his phone and click the link. It's a one-time use link and it has to be opened on the phone, and the phone has to already have the mobile app, and there are instructions on how to create that. But this is how you'd add it in here so that in this case Mr. Smith would have access through the mobile app. That mobile app is called Touch. You see here there's also a Bluetooth checkbox. We don't use Bluetooth readers typically. If there for some reason is a Bluetooth reader, we can help you with that setup. But we want to leave this unchecked unless you know for a fact you have Bluetooth readers. And the reason is having the Bluetooth service is an extra cost. If you check this box, it may generate extra cost for you, and I won't find that out until we get billed for it, which means that you won't find that out until I bill you for it. And I'd rather just not have to do that, because now then we have to go back through and find all these, delete them. So just please don't check Bluetooth unless you know for a fact that we've put Bluetooth in there and set it up with you. And you'll know for certain if we have, because we'll have gone over all of that. So now I'm going to hit add. And what you'll see here is that it shows a mobile credential, it shows pending. And so while I'm setting up a group for Mr. Smith here, I'm going to go ahead and log into my phone and open up my email. And once I open up my email, then I will see a link that says something to the effect of activate. And I can just click that activate button, and it's going to automatically open up the Touch app and give them my credentials. while I'm waiting on that, I'm going to go to groups, and I'm going to assign a group. And so we'll go ahead and give myself the all access group. That means I have all access all times to every door in the building. Because I have that, it's the only group I need. Now, sometimes you may have multiple groups that you assign to a person. And in that case, you could check multiple. But in this case, it'd be redundant because all access by default also includes Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I'm going to go ahead and hit select. And now that's created. There we go. You don't need to worry about video intercom link right now. If you have video intercoms that are linked up with this, we will help you set that up later. And then you have rules. Rules are a one-off thing that a single person might have. Usually where we find those would be, say, a pharmacy with a narcotics closet, right? And so you have multiple pharmacists inside this pharmacy, but only one or two have access to that narcotics closet. And so instead of creating a group for a narcotics closet, we would just create a rule that would allow that person to access that closet for whatever times we wanted. To create a start time, we just click that down arrow. And then if you are on a mobile app, you can use your thumb and scroll these up and down. Otherwise, you can just hit the up and down arrow and do it that way. It is 24-hour time, so it goes from 0 hours to 2,400 hours. Then you decide if it was a recurring or a single date thing. Something like a pharmacy, I'd imagine it'd be recurring, and then you can pick what days of the week it is. If you want to pick all the days, of course, you can hit select all. We'll leave the authentication policy as card only. And then we'll add whatever door it is that he would have. Now, since I have a narcotics closet here in my shop, we'll just go ahead and pick in my garage door and we'll hit select. And there we go. And so now I've created this rule. He's allowed from 0 hours to 2,400 hours every day of the week to access this door. Now, of course, that's a little bit redundant here just because by having the all access all times, he already would have access to this door, but that was just kind of show you how it is set up. I'm going to go ahead and delete it. As you saw, if you hover over anything, it'll just open up a trash can. You can click trash. It'll make sure you want to do it by hitting delete. If you're on the mobile app, you just hold your thumb on it for a second, and then you can delete that way. You notice here where it used to say pending for my mobile credential, now says my Motorola Moto Z3. So I've opened that email on my Moto Z3 and it recognizes that, and now my app on that phone has access the same as this card does. The great thing about it is whether I use my phone to access a door or I use the key fob or a card to access the door, it creates a log. And so you can pull a report and see every time I've accessed the door regardless of the credential I've used. The other nice thing is if we go back here to this enabled or disabled account, if I hit disabled, it disables the card and the credential on the phone. So you don't have to go back through and delete it. You don't have to do anything like that. You can just hit disabled and it's done. We'll leave it as enabled. I'm going to hit save. Now we're back here and you can see under my people, we have John Smith and he's now got all access all times. So we can click on the PTK logo and go back to our main screen here. The other thing we want to talk about real fast is going to be groups. And so a group is just a group of people that have all the same access rights. So in this case, we have an all access group. And in there is myself, Mr. Smith, Des, and Eli. If I wanted to add another person, I could just hit the plus button. And there's Mr. Holder. He does not have access to it. I could hit the checkbox here. And now Mr. Holder would have access to the building, all access, all times, just like the rest of us do. If that was a mistake, say, I could hit the trash can again here and delete him. And there you go. So you can add a person to a group, or you can add a group to a person. So it doesn't really matter which way you create it. Typically what's going to happen is you're going to end up creating your groups, and then as you create your people, you add the groups to them. But if you want to do it the opposite and add all your people and then create groups and add people to the groups, you can do that too. So here you can see my rule. It's allowed to the 3 doors here from 0 hours to 2,400 hours, Sunday through Saturday. Let's say that for some reason nobody's allowed in my garage from noon to 1 on Sundays because we spray a disinfectant in there, right? And so I'm going to create, instead of an allow rule, a deny rule. And I did that by hitting the plus button. So now we're going to change that slider over to deny. And then remember, it's going to be from noon. There we go. To 1 o'clock. And I'm just clicking the down arrow, and it's giving me the same scroll feature I showed you a minute ago with the rules. And because it is 24-hour time, 1 o'clock is going to be 1,300 hours. It's going to be a recurring thing, and it's going to be every Sunday. So now I made a deny rule that every Sunday from noon to 1, we are going to deny access to some doors. And so we'll come down here, we'll go to doors, and we'll select the garage door. There we go. And now this is all done. So deny rule, noon to 1, every Sunday, recurring, on my garage door. And I'll hit save. And now we go back here, you can see this rule is in here. A deny rule always supersedes an allowed rule. So in this case where I have all access all the time, my deny rule will override the allowed rule on Sundays from noon to 1. I'm going to delete that rule, otherwise I'm going to come in on Sunday, try to get in my garage and not be able to, and that would just be embarrassing. Alright, so now we are here. One other thing that we can look at, you can see a back arrow here, and you can see the PDK logo. If I click the back arrow here, I'm going to go back to my list of groups. If from the same page, instead of clicking the back arrow, I click the PDK logo, I'm going to go back to the main screen. So it's kind of a handy feature. Instead of having to keep clicking the back arrow, if you're done making groups, you just click that and you go right back to the main screen. So there you go. It's as easy as that to add a person. Add them as an individual and then add a group to them, or add all your individuals and then create a group and bring them all in. Whichever way you care to do it. If you got any questions, please give us a call. You can call us at 317-759-8859 or go online to www.criminalshateus.com, and there's some contact options on there to send us a message. All right, thanks a lot. Have a great day.